Welcome, everyone. I'm glad to have you here today. We're going to be talking about a topic I hopefully is important to anybody here. Before we get going, just so I know what my audience is like today, in the chat, how many of you guys are completely dependent on referrals or word of mouth? Give me a 1 in the chat if you're completely dependent on referrals or word of mouth. Okay. All right, a few of you guys. This should be good for even if you're not. I'm going to add a few things to your marketing stack that will be helpful. All right. But we should never rely on just word of mouth alone. All right. I'm sure at one point or another, some of you guys have been just word of mouth and we wore it like a badge. I've certainly had many contractors tell me that. And I'm here to challenge that idea a little bit. Okay. So most contractors think word of mouth is all they need for steady leads. Okay. This belief feels safe, but limits growth and control. If referrals slow down or your pipeline dries up fast, all right, they're out of work. All right. So we're playing this game of feast and famine. The worst situation I see is where they get referred to the wrong customers. Okay. This has a lot to do with why they fight to get certain prices. One of the best examples I can share with you, I had an extremely good contractor, well organized, detailed, anybody you would like to have your house built by, but worked for just investors. Right? Couldn't get his margins because he was working for just investors. And when we looked deeply into this, lo and behold, it was all referral. Right? Again, put that badge on and said, I only work through referrals and I work it with investors. Can anyone tell me what the problem is with that? Anyone see the potential problem with that? Now, mind you, this is an operation working extremely lean, organized, having to be because his margins were razor thin. We got him hooked up on actual homeowner leads and working with architects and engineers, and boom, his business exploded. We went from a struggling $1.5 million to over 5 million and was working less. All right. So I really want to have you guys understand that the market or the network that you're getting referrals from isn't always to your benefit. All right. Relying on referrals means you're invisible to new customers. So 61% of contractors say referrals are unpredictable. Okay. And what's the real cost of waiting for a referral? All right. Now, let's think about this from a logical point of view, right? The real cost here is we have no control on how leads come in. All right. It's hard to plan for growth or hire new staff, right? You're always reacting and never actually being able to lead. All right. So when we're constantly in a reactive mode, all right, because we're completely dependent on that referral lead. Okay. There's also a very good possibility, and I know this will go against what some people say, but there's also a very good possibility, all right, that you are eroding your margins, all right, to try and keep these customers impressed, trying to keep these customers and over delivering on your service, all right, because of the fear of not being referred on to someone else. Okay. Do you think that makes you less or more vulnerable to being taken advantage of? And I can tell you absolute nightmare stories of this exact situation, right? So why referrals alone don't scale, right? So word of mouth, I can't reach new markets or neighborhoods, okay? It limits your brand and who your customers know, all right? So it makes it hard to raise prices or specialize, all right? So again, I see this most often, I would say, primarily in the GC market, the remodelers, again, some specialty trades. All right, but it makes it very difficult for you to be an actual specialist in one area. Okay, again, unless you are being referred in a very high net worth network. All right, it's good, but it's not sustainable on its own. All right, chances are you're going to be taking work to fill in your gaps from other less desirable leads. And then we may even get into projects that are not a good suit for our company because why? We need to keep working. So 68% of homeowners search online before calling a contractor, obviously. And here's another place that we give ourselves excuses. All right. So again, if you understand brand and branding, all right, a lot of what we do with our brand, all right, is going to dictate what kind of customers we attract. All right. So when we're operating in that referral only basis, what I tend to see is that we spend less time and invest less in what our brand actually looks like. All right. We're selling ourselves in a lot of situations. So we take you, the operator, the scenario, and poof, there goes the business. Is that a business at all? Nope, absolutely not. If your business needs you to survive, it's not a business, it's a job. Okay. So most contractors think that just branding is a logo. Hold on. Okay. Branding's way more than a logo. All right. Real branding builds trust, attracts leads beyond referrals. Okay. So again, we want leads beyond referrals. Every job site you're at, every customer you deal with has an opportunity to create 5 new customers. Okay. But when we're operating as just a referral only and not investing in our brand, our image, what people see that are not directly referred, all right, that's going to lead to some blind spots in our business and leaving a lot of opportunity on the table. All right. So there's a danger. And again, you'll hear me say this a lot. There's a real danger in just blending in. Okay. So completing only on price when you're not visible. That's the first place that we have to be. Imagine that. Again, you've got 3 contractors that show up, say the same thing, sound the same way, drive a similar truck. All right. What options have you given your customer to choose on? Of course, they're going to choose on price. Okay. Same thing goes, right? When we got the referral, but we're being compared to a bigger brand. All right. So a company that's actually done branding and building trust, you have a much more uphill battle to fight. You have less chips to play. All right. So then you end up playing the chip of price. And that's a dangerous game. That's what truly keeps you stuck. All right. Harder to win repeat business or referrals. Okay. So it becomes harder. Right? Having repeat business. If you have a bad project or you have a bad customer, right? That hurts your business in not getting those next referrals. All right. And a lot of it may not be repeat business, right? And you don't have a way to replace that, that gap in your business now, right? You get overlooked for bigger and better jobs. This is probably the biggest one that is unseen. All right. Even your referral. And when you get a really good glowing referral, they may be hesitant to give you a big project because you're not visible anywhere. You're not a company they can fully trust yet, even if you are a referral. And I know that hurts to hear, but the reality of it is people do a lot of online research these days. All right. They're checking you out. They're not just making rash decisions. All right. They're looking at your websites. They're looking at the things that you come. They want to know they can trust you. Okay. If you're nowhere to be found, all right, or you have outdated branding, outdated advertising, that's going to tell them something, right? That's going to tell them something, and they're going to look at you and they're going to try and control their risk. All right. So bigger jobs come with higher risk to homeowners, right? When there's higher risk, they tend to go to safer routes. And the safer route is going to be a brand that's more recognized, a company that has demonstrated being in the market longer, or not even longer, I'll tell you the truth. It's just being bigger and the illusion of being stronger as a result of that. Okay. Again, most of it I would say is smoke and mirrors, to be honest with you. But again, some companies do it well and some companies don't do it well. And that's why they don't get those larger projects. So 64% of homeowners can't recall the name of their last contractor. Okay. So we want to build a lead engine, not just a reputation. Okay. So again, does referrals have a part in your lead engine? Absolutely. 100%. Again, there's nothing better, cheaper, more productive, and you should be having a certain percentage, but you cannot rely on them entirely. The way I best would describe this is we're going to go to the casino. I'm going to put all my money on red. All right. And we're going to roll the dice. Let's see what happens. All right. And you're doing that on every project. All right. Because we have no backup plan. We have no diversification. All right. If leads don't come in or jobs don't turn out. All right. And we spend a lot of time chasing leads, chasing bad jobs, when it's just easier to have a really good plan in place. And you can use reviews. You can use your social media. It doesn't have to be expensive ad campaigns, but it has to be a strategy you're using. Right. So you can combine your referrals with digital marketing, reviews, social media proof. All right. Use Google Business Profile. All right. One of the best places, if you are not a content creator, to really take your business to the next level, and I want you guys to pay attention to this, your local Google My Business profile maps. Okay. If you're in there and you're optimizing and you're posting and you're getting reviews onto those pages, you are going to come up locally, organically more often. All right. That is one of the best ways. So if you're focused on getting a review from every customer you're doing business with, all right, working really hard, just like a referral, all right, you're working on getting that review. all right, and we're doing regular posts on that Google local business, you're responding to those reviews within 24 hours, all right, a magical thing starts to happen. You become locally, all right, the go-to guy because you're demonstrating that trustability up front, right? So for those guys that have been long time referral guys, this is just a little bit of a reiteration to that, where we're really driving every customer to do that review for us. And then what we're posting there are before and after shots of their project. Again, I'm going to give you a couple of other ideas, but there's no bigger bang for your buck if you're a total review or referral only, without obviously making catchy videos and stuff like that, which I still encourage. If you're going to use Facebook and Instagram or TikTok or any of those platforms, understand that those are content-driven platforms. Okay, content-driven platforms, whereas Google is more of a SEO-driven platform. Okay, so again, it's reporting, your reviews, and that's the go-to place for most people to look you up, right? So it's search engine. So we definitely want to take our time, and it's a small investment for a big reward if you can get it right. All right. So social proof sells, we covered this a little bit last week as well, but again, I'm going to double down on this in terms of sharing your day-to-day, sharing the behind the scenes of your business, showing the projects, showing different aspects of your business will allow people to begin to build trust. And it'll allow people that are not, again, directly connected to you to be confident in referring you. All right. You have no idea how many times we get referrals from people we never did business with. It's a beautiful thing, right? And the reason for that is because we are present. All right. We're not, and one thing I've got to say, and I'll be full disclosure, I am not the best at creating content. All right. I'm not spending my days creating content for Contractor AI or for my own business. It's not something I take passion in. It's not something I enjoy. I do probably a mediocre job at best, if at all. In fact, I've stopped even making content for J Carter Roofing. I created an AI avatar, and that's all we use over there. I know, right? But what you have to understand, what everybody on this call understands, is there's a very large opportunity for anybody that wants to use these platforms, all right, to become a very strong influence in your market. And the reason is very simple. Contractors don't make content, all right? So the algorithm is looking for places to send these people, all right, to feed them stuff they're looking for and searching for, okay, and watching videos for, and there's no one locally that they have that they can send them to. All right. So even if you do a piss poor job of content, don't look at other influencers. You don't have to make content like that. You can make simple stuff, just capturing a moment, a scene. All right. It doesn't have to be sophisticated. It doesn't have to be polished as much. Okay. Now, I do recommend you do some thoughtful process to it and you have a game plan. But again, there is just a huge opportunity for anybody that's willing to put themselves out there like that. And again, we're seeing 10, 12, 14x returns on just social media, organic social media, right? Just putting your face out there, sharing your mind, showing your projects, some behind the scenes, capturing photos if you have to. All right. But it's the consistency of posting that's going to give you results. All right. And it's because people don't just immediately buy from you. They check you out. They look at your business. They want to know that you can handle the things that they're looking to get solved. Right. So contractors with an active social media get 32% more leads. Okay. And here's the fun part. All right. We run ads for a lot of our customers. All right. And we have customers who also invest in their organic social media. Okay. The ones who invest in their social media, even if it's mediocre like mine, semi-par, good enough. All right. My cost to acquire a lead when I pay for it is tremendously lower than the guy who doesn't have any. All right. So when we run lead campaigns for someone who's done no social media, the ad cost is higher because there's less trust value in the market. And again, these algorithms know, do you have Google reviews? Like they're all cross-checking. All right. So don't be fooled by that. Again, you got to understand that the algorithm in one way or another knows about how many Google reviews you have and if you're trustable. All right. And they charge a premium to companies that don't have those trust signals in the market. All right. And I can prove it to you time and time again. Anybody that's got even just a little bit, all right, performs much higher and much more competitively than somebody who has none. And then I have clients that don't buy any leads. All right. They use their social media to generate all of their business, organic social media. Okay. Now, is there investment? Absolutely. There's a time investment. There's a commitment. You got to enjoy it to take it to a high level. But even just, again, you can see these posts. Nothing here is spectacular. Nothing is going to jump out on the page and go, wow, he's got an amazing thing, but it's not the point. It's there to provide certain signals that I'm looking to convert clients on. Okay. Before I go any further, does anybody have any questions on what I just shared? No? No questions? Feel free, if you want to jump in, just unmute yourself. Again, this is a conversation. If you have said something or if you want clarity on anything, just let me know. I'll gladly answer your question. Okay. So now we've made some content. All right. What else can we do to start to drive more leads? All right. And keep leads at a low cost. All right. The cheapest way to generate a lead, and that's still the best bang for your dollar, bar none, no questions asked, is email. How much does it cost to send an email again? Anybody? I'm pretty sure it's still free, right? Okay. How many emails do you think you have on your phone right now of past customers? How many emails do you guys think you have? How many of you guys are actively keeping in touch with them? Right? Here's an easy hack for you. It doesn't take much. Okay. But if you're creating a list, 100 or so, perfect. Awesome. All right. Now, again, that statistic I shared with you about contractors not being remembered 6 months, 12 months down the road. Now, if we just sent them some updates or shared our social media or shared our posts with them, is that going to be bothersome to them? Better question. How many of you guys can open up your phone right now and look at junk email that you allow to exist in your email box, all right, of a company you haven't done business with? Maybe you have ours. Who knows, right? How many of you guys are scanning what would be referred to as junk email or what have you from brands you're interested in? All right? Just open your phone and look, okay? Every time you're in that email box, it's a reminder. It's a reminder of who you are and what you can do. And again, doesn't have to be over the bar creative. In fact, it's better to be less productive or production quality. All right. We want to keep that personal touch of our brand, especially if we're trying to do things lean and scrappy. All right. Just sending them a before and after project email. Nothing wrong with that. All right. Sharing tips, reminders. All right. Special offers. God, again, I can show you where I just wring cash out of my email list every year, right? Out of customers that I lost the business with. I just wring cash out of it, right? Just by keeping in touch. Just because I lost the job, somebody else did the roof doesn't mean they did the soffit, the aluminum. That doesn't mean they added snow guards. And again, I get that opportunity, all right, to swoop in and recover all of my lead costs. All right. And it's very simple. All right. Again, use your emails to your advantage. There's so many different ways that you can position offers, all right, that are going to keep you with endless amounts of opportunity. All right. And then notice I haven't spent any money here, right? These are things you already have. You don't need to go out and invest huge in a leads campaign. And in fact, I really suggest that you don't. Until you can get this stuff right, guys. Again, if you're all referrals, taking cold leads from a leads campaign is a total different ballgame. Okay, you have to learn a whole new set of skills dealing with a cold lead than you have with a warm lead. All right, it's night and day. And if you're not ready for that, all right, cool. Let's continue to work off of what you already know best and what you're already comfortable on, and let's just expand it, right? What do we have to lose here, right? What do we have to lose? Zero. They're emails that aren't even being used in your phone and on your system. Now we can get them systemized, and again, staying in touch with them, making new offers, sharing jobs. Do you think that's going to get you more referrals? Do you think that's going to get you more interest? Absolutely. All right. If not more business immediately. Okay. So 44% of homeowners hire a contractor they've heard from in the last 3 months. Okay. So again, it's about timing, consistency, right? Same with your social media, asking them to become a follower on your social media page. Again, it's just a flash. They might just see you, but that's the reminder they need to give you that referral. All right. Simple. None of this stuff costs money. This is stuff you can all implement and just build in as a part of your general routine that's going to make a huge difference. Okay. So again, what's the power of specialization? All right. And I'm always going to bring this up because I feel you might notice that there's a theme from talk to talk. All right. I'm trying to really drive home some important notes here and things that are value. All right. Is we got to focus on the best and most profitable services. Always. All right. We've got to be able to get beyond our ego of I can do everything to what actually makes us a profit. right? What's the easiest thing for me to execute on, right? What requires the least amount of variables to get done, all right? So again, I'll give you a very good example of this. A deck builder we work with stopped offering landscaping, right? Grew his revenue 40%. He hated doing snow plowing. He stopped doing that. Good, right? He wasn't great at it. We cut all that stuff away and his revenue grew 40%, right? In less than 6 months. That was just cutting away the stuff that was distracting him from his core offer. All right. He liked building decks. He had a great team that built decks. He could do those day in and day out with very little oversight and when he got into landscaping, that was a different world. But he felt he had to sell it when he was doing the deck. And that's just fundamentally wrong. All right. It's easier to market than it is to price your work. All right. So again, you guys can argue with me about it, and I suggest that you do, but it's far cheaper and it's far more productive to actually just have a marketing strategy. All right. Heaven forbid, pay for some leads than it is to compete on price. You can literally just add that into the price, add it on to the price of the person that you're doing work with, and boom, you've solved your problem. And again, now we go from scarcity to abundance real quick. And that's what you will discover. For most contractors we work with, we have to shut their ads off very quickly, all right? Because they get overwhelmed, right? Too much, okay? And again, I'm not saying this to persuade you one way or the other. I'm saying this as an opportunity for you to see your business a different way, all right? The opportunity here, all right, is to understand, again, and might sound like a broken record here, but we are in an abundant place in contracting. It's never been this easy to be a contractor. All right. And I know, shocking, right? But it's never been so easy to generate a customer. All right. When I first started out, I had basically one thing, the phone book, all right, and direct mail. That was the extent of it, and referrals. All right. And whoever bought the biggest phone book advertisement won. All right. So again, now we have all these other platforms. We have all this people spending time where we can be in front of them. All right. And it's not being utilized by contractors, which is mind-boggling to me, because they much rather go out and put themselves through pain and sorrow, taking on jobs they don't want, all right, than to invest even time into their marketing. You don't need to invest money. You don't need to put money out there, but you've got to invest some time. You got to put yourself out there, put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. Nothing in this world is easy or free, but again, you've got to find the marketing source that works for you. All right. They also reduces overhead and confusion. Okay. So again, when I say this, people question me on it, but contractors who have a marketing plan, and a lot of them who use a mix of paid leads and organic content, all right, have a lower overhead cost. They have a lower operating cost. All right. They have predictable revenues. They tend to have larger businesses, more established businesses. Okay. And there's no rhyme or reason to this, right? It's exactly just based on the facts. When you can manufacture a client on demand, that puts you in a different position, doesn't it? Do we have to take every job that comes our way? No. Can we be selective? Yeah. Can we choose? Absolutely. And do we need to compete on price? It's supply and demand. All right. We are in a supply and demand business, no matter which way you want to slice it. All right. You will always be in high demand, but you will not be present or in front of the people that are demanding the demand. All right. That's your choice. So if you're not in front of the people demanding the demand, you're going to feel like you are in a scarce place. All right. And that's all to do with marketing. All right. So I much rather buy my way out of that. All right. Manufacture, the clients I want to do business with, be very specific about them, be very picky. All right. And get the price that I deserve to get without a lot of friction. All right. Now, does that take work? Does that take effort? Does that take thought? Absolutely. I don't want to mislead anyone. It's not a magic pill or a silver bullet. All right. It's a thought process, and it's a change of mindset that has to occur. All right. When you guys stop, and the day that it happens, you'll know you've made it there. When you stop believing that you're a contractor, all right, and you start believing that you're a sales and marketing company, your world will change. All right. Because there's no way to grow a business, all right, other than sales and marketing. Right? You want to argue with me about it? I don't know if I'm maybe poking the bear here, trying to look for a fight or something. But again, these are discussions that you need to have, right? What you should only identify as somebody who happens to do flooring, happens to do roofing. All right. Why? Because again, if your focus is in growing your business, if your focus is on having freedom, and to be able to enjoy fair profits and to have a business that operates without you. Okay. If you don't get that sales and marketing thing, that's never happening. Right? Full stop. It doesn't matter how good your work is, because everything after you make that sale, all right, is an expense, including you. All right. So understand that everything else after you make the sale is an expense. All right. So how do we go about this? First things first, guys, I want to make it really simple for anybody that is not having these systems in place. So the emails, things like that, it's super easy from that perspective. Get yourself a CRM. All right. If you're interested in one, of course, we have them. I'm not pushing that, but CRM of any type, you can get them anywhere, any place now. They're relatively cheap. There's really no excuse not to have one at any level. All right. Before, when they used to be thousands of dollars a month and very complicated, yeah, you know what? But now we can get into CRMs that can be as basic and simple as anything, or as complex as you want. All right. That's basically what's going to allow you to have these relationships and not spend all day manually emailing clients. I don't recommend that. Okay. You want to use checklists, templates, scripts. Again, becoming systemized. And you'll notice that I say checklists, templates, and scripts. These don't have to be digital. All right. For some of you guys that are just starting out and just getting ready, done is better than perfect. Okay. If you're following a script, don't think that you have to have fancy software and everything else to be successful. All right. That's not true. Right. You have to have a good plan, a good strategy. You got to go after the things that work. All right. And for a lot of us, we have so many things going on. It's easy to forget, isn't it? How easy is it to forget? Okay. This is about developing a discipline around what's going to actually drive a result. All right. And I found, again, my ADD brain works really well with checklists, works really well with my calendar. All right. I set aside things to make sure if it's an hour a week to do your marketing and you're going to send out 10 emails, make sure that's built into your calendar. Make sure that's built into your routine. And we're not skipping those things. Okay. It's going to make a huge difference. All right. We get back into this 80-20 rule. All right. For most of us, 80% of our effort, all right, is going out the door, and only 20%, all right, is actually creating results. All right. So you want to make that shift. You want to start focusing on that 20% of the results more consistently. Right. So one more thing I would love for you guys to incorporate, again, for all of you guys that have been long-time referral guys, all right, and even you guys that are got a few different things going on, all right, let's make sure that we're telling good stories. All right, let's make sure that we're taking those referrals and capturing the story behind it. All right, if you can get the review, now that review can come social media. All right, that can become a piece of content or multiple pieces of content. Okay. We want to share the before and after photos, the testimonials. Like, these are basic, bare bones, simple things everyone should have. If, I use an app called Company Cam. I'm not promoting or anything like that, but like, easy to send before and after. You send it to your customer, right, as your closeout package. You ask them for a review. All right. You get that review. If they really like you, they'll even do a video testimonial for you. And that's the top thing that you want to acquire. If you can get video testimonials and get people involved in your social media, that's the goal. All right. How many of you guys watch short form content on social media platform more than you should? How many? Don't lie to me. I know what you've been doing. And again, I've been guilty of it too. It's hard, right? It's brain rot. So again, think about putting that kind of content, that video, short form content, a customer giving a review. You putting that out there, all right, and just sharing it is going to get you a lot of reach. All right. It's going to get a lot of people that know you. All right. And when they have something coming up, they're coming to you. Right? As good as a referral is, in a lot of cases, you can get more off of these. All right. Just a short testimonial video of someone about your service. You can get more because they go viral. All right. You can get more work and opportunities off that than a referral all day long. All right. So again, it's not a lot, but it is a commitment. Posting the stories. All right. You can post them on your website. Better to be on your social media. Think about like short form stories, 30, 40 seconds, cutting those clips into things and just posting them. All right. Don't think that and I'll recommend this to everybody here because there's sometimes some misconception. Don't focus on long form content. Don't tell long, huge stories. No one cares. No one's going to watch them. They're not going to go anywhere. All right. I want you to think 15 to 20 second short form videos. Anything beyond that, like if you want to create long form content, all right, you got to have an audience that's already warmed up and knows who you are, that would be interested in that long form. And for the most part, guys, like honestly, it's not worth it, right? It's just not, it's a big commitment of your time, and a lot more can go wrong in those. And you do this piece of content and then no one sees it. All right. Keep your focus on short form content. You will get a lot more out of that. It's easier to create. Get yourself past your own nerves with it. Just pulling out your phone and sharing your thoughts of the day, as long as it's on brand. All right. I would say that's the best bang for your buck right now for someone starting out that doesn't have a lot of referrals. All right. That's looking to build their business. Be involved in your community. Go to your community pages. Okay. We all know Facebook. We have those Facebook groups. Every town, every city has a Facebook community group. Go in there and shoot a short form video on something you can inform that audience about. Become the lead-in expert. Okay. I can tell you so many of my clients that have done this and it works extremely well, that we couldn't push ads on them if we wanted to. All right. Why would they? They have endless amount. They have more clients than they can keep up with. And it's all from these groups. All right. But they're willing to put themselves out there. They bring value. They're not asking for business. They're bringing value. Big difference, right? They're building trust. They're becoming the go-to person in that community. All right. When somebody has a plumbing issue or an electrical issue. Okay. And then just being present there, guys, you have no idea. People are looking for electricians, plumbers, like they're looking for your services there, right? It's like a town newspaper or classified. All right. Again, take your content to there if you're going to do it. You don't just have to post on your social media, right? There's a lot of places you can take that content and repost it, repurpose it, right? You can take one video and make it reach a long way, especially if you have a good CRM. Again, if you're interested, obviously we help with CRMs. Even the basic of CRMs that we have on a subscription base will allow you to post into these groups. All right. You can schedule out a month or 2 months in advance. All right. Respond to your comments, all those kind of things. All those things you probably perceive right now as being time consuming really aren't. All right. Making 10 pieces of content now, we all have a phone in our pocket, not a big deal. All right. So how many of your leads come from referrals versus online? So how many of you guys would, and just throw it in the chat here, how many of you guys leads come from just referrals versus online? Okay. That might be the next leading indicator. So if you don't know that number, all right, that means you might need to focus a little bit more on your marketing, right? Or your CRM should be there boldly telling you what that spread looks like. All right. Super important here, guys, that again, it's these small, consistent things that we do, all right, that bring about massive change, brings about huge opportunity. The difference between feast and famine, okay? It's very small, measurable, consistent things that we do, all right, that dictate if we're going to be in abundance or scarcity. I don't know about you, but I love to be in abundance. I'm going to keep in the abundance mindset, all right? And it's going to help in all areas of my business. But again, if you're not willing to put yourself out, if you're not willing to do something outside of where you're comfortable right now and take some action, all right, you're going to be doomed to be in that same position indefinitely. Okay. The reality is I've tried, I'm sure a lot of guys here have tried. You can't just survive off referrals alone. All right. And that's the point I'm trying to drive home. Can we combine some of these other things? Absolutely. There's small, meaningful changes. All right. Not a huge amount of time to be invested, but they're just being done on a consistent basis. And that's the key I'm trying to drive home here, right? So what's your biggest challenge with lead generation? And I'd like this to be more of an open conversation. I'm trying to get you guys to engage a little bit. So if you feel comfortable, unmute yourself and we can have a chat. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
My biggest issue with shit. Can you go back to that last slide? You mind?
Yeah, sure.
I apologize.
Yeah.
Biggest challenge with lead generation. My biggest issue with lead generation at the moment is trying to, because you and I have discussed what my situation is, and basically I'm restarting everything after a couple year hiatus. And so right now I'm not putting any money into it. So everything is free marketing and organic. And so one of my biggest things is consistency. That's the biggest issue that I've found, because I post a lot on my business Facebook profile and on my personal Facebook profile.
I've seen your content. I've seen your content.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
thanks, man. Yeah, on my business one, it's more my website stuff, the more serious side of the business, blogs that I've written. Because I have every Sunday, I write a blog for every day of the week to come out to help with
Mm,
SEOs and things of that
yep.
nature. So that most of that's on my business page, and then on my personal page, I use AI to make ridiculous, funny, humorous videos for the business, and I post that to my personal and tag my business. And it's interesting, I've actually gotten a lot of work just from those AI videos, as
Yep.
stupid as they are, gotten work from them. But the biggest thing is consistency that I've ran into. And I feel it's going to be the majority of people. If you're not paying for ads and you're having to create content to create marketing, that marketing requires consistency and discipline. It's fun and exciting at first. So you do it every day, you're excited about doing it, and then it starts to fall wayside. And I think that's my biggest issue.
Yeah. So again, and those, it's great that you're coming to that head, and most people will. All right. But the fact is, you got started, right? You started doing it. You've gotten some results. It's generated some leads. It puts you in a different position where other people who haven't started, all right, they just need to start. Okay. And then the consistency, again, that's something that you're definitely going to delegate. All right. So I don't make any of my content. Surprise. I don't invest any of my time other than when they have to take me kicking and screaming 4 hours a month to put my face on the internet. That's again, so content, again, I recognize the importance of it. And I built that into a model that works for me personally. All right. And I suggest everyone else does. If you don't like doing it, that is your cue. You're going to do it for a short period of time. All right. But your next investment will be having a VA or an admin that can put that stuff together for you, because it's not difficult coming up with different content, or find somebody that really enjoys that, or an agency or something, but the value's already there. Right. But until you take that first step, put it out there, you're not going to be able to enjoy that benefit. Right. So again, a lot of it's just about getting started. Right. Once you get started, yes, it can be bulky, it can be hard, but there's so many ways you can refine it down. There's so many softwares now, again, with the AI videos you mentioned. A lot of people are overestimating how much time it actually takes and then avoiding it because they don't have time. Whereas, hey, I'll put it to you like this way, all right? To acquire a customer in my business cost me about $1,400. I'm very proud of that number, okay? To acquire one customer cost me $1,400, okay? Now, if I knew that every time I had to get a customer that's worth 50 to 100 grand would cost me $1,400, how many times do you think you would invest that $1,400? At what pace would you do it? I look forward to, myself personally, my goal is to spend $100,000 in marketing a month. That is my goal. That's my mission. That's what I want to do. Like, again, I know my business is going to do 10x that, right? 4x. That to me, it's not an expense. It's actually quite the opposite, right? It's the best, most safest investment I can make, right? I can't get that kind of return from the stock markets. I can't get that return from real estate. Like, I can only get that from my business. All right. And it does it time and every month over and over again, right? It's like printing cash. This is where I want you to get your head set at, right? When you think of a sales and marketing company, all right, can you be just a sales company without any marketing?
Oh.
Can you be a marketing company without any sales? No, you can't. All right. So if you're missing one or the other, all right, it doesn't matter how good the other one is. All right. You just can't succeed. All right. You are average. You're unseen. Okay. And the companies that succeed the furthest and the longest, and the guys who have got true freedom, understand this. Okay. Marketing's not an option, right? If you want to grow a business, you want to succeed and you want to have freedom, you're going to have to, in one way or another. Maybe it's not a huge investment like I'm talking about, all right, but you should damn well be working towards that. You should be, every one of you guys should be looking at that number as a positive number. How much did I spend? How much could I afford to spend while being profitable, generating a customer? All right. And the easier you make that for yourself, all right, I think I've made it the easiest. I'm so lazy now with it. I don't even send myself, I send my JAI. All right. And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not, again, I've put in enough effort, enough work, and it doesn't require more. All right. Now, on the other side, I'll put it to you in another way. And this is how drastically different the playing field is. I'm obviously in the coaching consulting space. All right. I could make as much high quality content with my face on it as I want, and it will probably never get past 1,000 views. I'm okay with that. All right. I can promote it. I can do anything because there's so many people in that market trying to create influence. All right. There's so many other people that are going to be above. Whereas contracting, there is no one. There's nobody. Go look around. How many local influencers are talking about your trade? Go find them for me. Show me them. Very few. So this is why I'm saying, like, if like, where else would you get? Let's just take Google. I'm paying $12 per click for a keyword there. $12 per click, and here you are getting thousands of views to your offer. What, like, the numbers are insane, right? So again, if you don't like, you don't want to spend money yet, cool. Double down on that social media, right? Repurpose your content. Like, again, different variations of the video. That's where you should be investing your time. All right, because your time's going to come back tenfold. Then you have, once you get a few jobs in there, now I'm going to convert that. Anything that was good content, I'm going to rerun it and rerun ads through it. It's, again, it's working yourself out of the process. It's getting yourself away from having to do all the heavy lifting. And the truth is, I much rather buy a lead than or influence a lead, if that makes sense. It's more
But you
consistent.
also, you're in a, you're, I think where a lot of people are going to hear what you're saying and have a disconnect is going to be in the fact that it cost you $1,400 to acquire that lead. It
Right.
cost you $12 to get that click. And that's where the legwork's going to come in on our parts, is we have to dial in those numbers and understand that as well. And then once you know that, you can be comfortable with the projected numbers that the projected ROI you'll get on those dollars spent.
And that's where CRM comes into play, right? So like the CRM
Yep.
that we offer in at Contractor, it has that built right into it, right? So like we look at those numbers because that's a leading indicator of whether your marketing is working or not. Like, it's, again, this is the core of direct response marketing, is knowing that if I put $50 out, I got back 100. If you can't do that with your marketing, don't, like, or again, brand marketing or anything like that, if you can't directly associate those costs, you can't play this game, because it's just a matter of dollars and cents. Again, I've yet to meet a marketer, including myself, that knows exactly what's going to work every single time. All right. The truth is, if I knew what exactly would work every single time, I'd be a billionaire. Right. So again, what we have to be willing to do is put those things out. All right. We have to be able to measure them. You're right. Again, that is going to be an overwhelm for a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be. That is an investment. Our CRM's like $98 a month or $49 a month. It'll give you all that data right away. Same with your social media, like rolling that through a CRM allows you to have insight. But the worst part that I see, and the thing that I see most often, is even when you have the numbers, you don't take action on it. You don't recognize the value and the importance of what you're doing. And you still get drawn into doing the work. You still get drawn into the production of the business. And what I'm really trying to emphasize here for all of you guys is that, there's always that first stage of being a contractor, right? It's unavoidable. The longer we spend in the operator mindset, all right, and we don't recognize that, hey, there's no money in doing the work, guys. There never has been, there never will be. You're living an illusion if you think there is, all right? The facts are, all right, the reality of it is, if you want freedom, if you want to earn real profits, if you want to have a business that succeeds without you, all right, you have to be a marketing and sales company, all right? That's the bottom line, whether you like it or not, okay? And if you don't, then keep doing what you're doing, all right? Keep looking for those jobs. But when you make that shift, if you make that change and you start doing little things to get little wins, all right, that's going to get you up to the level. I didn't start off as a sales and marketing company. I started off just like everybody else, right? Working really hard. My hands are still scarred, right? So at the end of the day, I learned this along the way. And I'm trying to give you guys what got me to where I got to faster, right? It didn't need to take me 15 years to figure this out. You guys can do it right now, right? And there's never been an easier opportunity to do it, right? Just taking one or two of these things and just consistently putting them in place will lead you to results. It's impossible not to. Literally impossible. If you got more reviews, if like just simple Google more reviews, all right? You captured a little bit more video on site. You pulled your cell phone out and captured a couple of cool videos, all right? You literally cannot lose. There's only upside to that. So take those things, start doing them, build your confidence up towards it, right? And as I said, it'll lead you to the next and the next thing. Before long, you realize, hey, you know what? It's a hell of a lot easier to become really good at selling, right? And really good at marketing, and then get somebody else, and I'll say it in the most polite way as possible. Obviously, you got to be responsible, but to get someone else to do that day-to-day stuff. All right. Yeah. Like, again, it's just numbers. It's just, how do you want to run your business?
Yeah, and I think I saw somebody in the chat say they wanted to try the AI stuff out. I'll tell you that the software I use to create the AI takes me the thing that takes the longest time is coming up with an idea that I think is funny and will grab attention. And then typing it, figuring out a prompt that will give me a good, concise video. And then creating the video takes 45 fucking seconds. And then
Yeah.
my average one that I put out gets around 1,200 to 1,500 views, and I've gotten sales through those. So I'm trading maybe 10 to 15 minutes of my time for 12 to 1,500 extra eyes on me that weren't on me
Yep.
before. And that
And
goes back to what you were
that's
saying
gold.
with, then that's what that goes back to what you were saying is that if you just get a couple more reviews, if you get just a couple more things that you do, a little bit of action that can get a little bit more eyes on you is only
Hmm.
going to benefit the business. And
That's right.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, again, like it's the small shifts here that ultimately create the biggest results, right? So like I said, when we're focused on that 20% that drive results, reviews, referrals, short form video, again, your email, those are all in that 20%. Okay. If you guys can take advantage of those right now, doesn't have a huge capital investment. It does require you to thoughtfully go out and do that. You're going to succeed in building a new customer base and customers that you wouldn't have gotten any other way. Again, I wish that there was social media platforms when I started out. I sincerely like I started my business by delivering, like I'd go and get people's mailing addresses with their name on it, put it on a white envelope, all right, and then hand deliver them to their addresses. And that worked well for me. I didn't have the money for the stamp. I deliver the mailer so that they'd have to open it and it had a letter in it. That was it. And that worked. I got to my first $1 million doing that, right? So anything will work. There's there's 1,000 different ways to do it. Some are easier, some are harder, right? We just got to find that thing that we're willing to be consistent with, right? And it's the willingness not to just settle for the referrals. It's the willingness to do something that's outside of your comfort zone that's going to lead you to the biggest change, right? All right. So again, anybody looking for help on this, of course, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll drop our contacts in the chat here for a call. If you're looking at CRMs or anything like that, I'd love to even just have a chat with you, consult with you, make sure you get onto the right one. If it's not ours, that's cool. I'm certainly not pushing it. It's got to be the right fit. But again, these are big decisions that you make in your business that have big impact long term and short term. So at least take me up on my advice to offer. Okay. Any other questions before we wrap this baby up? All right. Everybody have a wonderful day. Appreciate your time. Take care.